Welcome to Nancy and Nicole, Real Life, Real Talk. Today you're just getting Nancy. Nicole's on vacation, and we are interrupting our previously recorded episode that was going to get dropped this week because the timing just wasn't right for a number of different reasons. So you're still going to get that one, just not this week. So, given that the theme of our podcast is the stories we tell ourselves, I thought I would come in here and talk a little bit about how I have been living that question this past week. So, for some of you who may be watching this at a time in the future, I'm recording this at the end of January 2026. Something tells me the history books will be talking about these few weeks and this month for a long time, given the unrest across our country and in particular in Minneapolis and the horrible violence and murders of innocent neighbors and people in the community. So it has been a hard time to navigate sort of like, how do we function on a day to day? What's business as usual? For those of us who are in present and or engaged with social media, it's been incredibly complicated. There's been a lot of people who were like, I just don't talk about politics. So I'm not going to talk about anything what's happening in the world because I don't want to piss people off. I don't want to lose business or clients. I don't want to upset family because there's a long history in our country of like, we don't talk about sex, religion, money, politics. Like we just stay in the safe lane. Those of you who know me know I rarely stay in the safe lane, but I also don't always know what to say. And I don't want to say the wrong thing. And I don't want to say something stupid or ignorantly offensive, which I am known to do, because it's hard to like always say just the right thing. So I've spent a lot of time not engaging on social media. And then the pendulum will swing on a particular day and I can't stay silent. And feel free to go find me in social media. And you can see sort of the things I've been sharing, but mostly have been sharing what other people are posting because people who are way more articulate and insightful and wise and smarter than me have been saying some great things. So that's not really what I'm here to talk about, but I want to just share that it is hard and it is exhausting emotionally, mentally, physically. I think it's easy to ignore, even if you're not really paying attention, even if this really isn't your jam and you're not, that's happening to other people in another place. I think there's just a level of anxiety and stress and uncertainty that a lot of us are feeling just even on an energetic level. I think our animals are more stressed than they have been. I think kids feel it, even if they don't know necessarily what's going on. And how do we take care of ourselves in that? And can we still have joy and delight and happiness and contentment and all the things that we all want to have as part of our day-to-day lives when there is such strife and unrest in the world? And I think if we waited for a perfect world for us to feel good, we would never feel good. I do think we have to figure out how to take care of ourselves in the middle of all that. And the stories that we run will either give us a lot of permission about how to do that, or part of what I have been bumping up against. And I'll be honest, I'm going to probably put my foot in my mouth a few times in this conversation monologue, but I'm really aware that part of why I'm feeling all that I'm feeling now and not years ago, as more and more innocent people in our country have been being killed by law enforcement of some sort in our country, is because it didn't affect me because I have white privilege. And I'm a little heartbroken that even though I have felt rage and grief and all those other things, it has not felt the same to me as how I have felt the last couple weeks. I say that not for any of y'all to jump all over me about how shitty that might be, that I'm just feeling this in a different way now than I have in the past, but to acknowledge that I don't think I'm the only one. I think that's why there has been the response that there's been in the streets in Minneapolis, that there are a lot of people who are doing things that they would never have thought that they would have done before. So I think it's okay that some of us are just getting the memo now. Better late than never. And I also think that for many of us who are entrepreneurs or self-employed, figuring out how to navigate all this in a world where we still got to be doing our jobs. We got to take care of our clients. We have to, if nothing else, not only continue to provide the service, whatever it is we do, but we also have to put food on the table. And for those of you who aren't self-employed and you just have a life, you have kids to get up and get ready and get them to school, or get kids to soccer practice, or you have aging parents that you still have to be helping take care of, or just have a life, got a job to go to. I don't think it serves us to become immobilized and on the floor. If you find yourself immobilized and on the floor, I think the answer is community. I think we got to reach out to one another and meet those people reaching out to us with love and compassion and support. Judgment doesn't help us here. And I say that as somebody who can be pretty judging of other people. And I'll be honest, I don't understand the impulse to shy away from this moment because we don't talk about politics. I don't think it's about politics. I think it's a question of humanity. What do we believe about how we show up for one another? And the crazy thing to me is I think for many people that is a very controversial statement to make. That's kind of interesting to me. It's what makes horse races, as my mother would say. Like, we get to come at stuff from a different perspective, but I think at the end of the day, we have to decide what's the bedrock. So if you are feeling the world, I just want to invite you to do the things that feed your soul, that take care of you. I want to encourage you to pay attention to the voices in your head, both that perpetuate darkness and despair, and find the places where you can find some light and support and joy. I do think part of what I'm seeing in the news and on social media and in my community is people bringing out the best of themselves. There's a level of kindness and generosity and support and looking out for one another. And that comes in all sizes, shapes, and forms. You do not have to put yourself in physical risk of being a protester in Minneapolis or being an observer of protests and documenting. You don't even have to stand out in front of a school where ICE is showing up and making sure that kids are getting in safely. Those are things that are needing to happen in our communities. It's not just in Minneapolis, but we still get to be kind, whether that is holding the door open for somebody or calling somebody you haven't talked to in a while and just checking in on them. And maybe it is picking up groceries for somebody who, for whatever reason, can't easily get to the grocery store. And if you are inclined, there are things that are more politically minded or involved with politics that you can do. You can vote, so to speak, with your dollars. You can make phone calls. One of my favorite things that I have known about forever, talked about forever, told other people about forever, and to be honest, inconsistently used myself. And that is the app Five Calls. If you don't know it, you should look it up. It's super easy to use and is a great way to feel like you're doing something. I know for myself, the stories that trip me up when I feel despair is feeling powerless and stuck. And, I don't want to get out of bed. I'm watching way more TV, maybe. I'm scrolling on social media. I say it's because I want to be informed. There are a lot of ways to be informed without going down a rabbit hole that does not help you breathe better. Obviously, there are all the things of, breathing and getting outside and taking exercise, getting sleep, drinking more water. I mean, the little things in life that add up about how we take care of ourselves. And I think those stories that make us feel like, here's some of the stuff that comes up for me. One is Buck up, sister. You have it so easy. You got nothing to be complaining about. You got to do more. You got to power through. You got to be fierce and take charge. Okay, but how helpful is that? And then I beat myself up, and then I have a whole story of shame if I'm not doing some of that stuff. But what does it hurt to take a minute to go take a walk? For me, stopping and taking photos of something that is beautiful, noticing that there is something that's beautiful, laughing at hysterical comedy reels on Instagram, watching Ted Lasso. It's it's good for my soul. Like, talk about serious medicine. Serious medicine. I don't know what that looks like for you, but whatever it is, lean into that. The other thing is, um, getting together with friends sometimes can be complicated because not everybody necessarily looks at the world the same way. Or it's really easy to one person has been watching a lot of news or a lot of social media and is drowning in grief and despair and just sort of verbally vomits. Sometimes that has been me, I'll be honest, to a group of friends at dinner. And sometimes then other people jump in, or other people don't know how to jump in, or other people walk out of the room because that is toxic for them. I think we need to be together. We have to be in community. We need support. But we also have to be supportive in our support. So if you are gathering with others, just be mindful of what is life-giving and supportive for you and one another in those moments. I probably started this podcast 5 times. I have started, gotten a little into it, deleted, started again, little deleted. I will probably edit the crap out of this one because the reality is I don't know how to navigate the times that we are in. Some days I feel guilty for having a great day, having wonderful wins at work, or again, feeling good. And then other days I feel present with what's happening in the world in a way that helps me reevaluate who I want to be and how I want to show up in the world. But I'm not a person who's gonna, I don't have the skill set, knowledge, all those things, really the desire, to be honest, to be that person who's gonna tell you, here are all the things you should be doing to take care of yourself or to be a change agent. You know that. If you don't, you can reach out to me. We can have a conversation about it. But I don't think most of us need to be told how to take care of. Wow. I don't know if I actually believe that now that I just saying that. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know if my optimism that I think the world is going to get better is naive or not. I can't see the world any other way. Not because don't see the direction it could go, but I can't go there. I have seen too much goodness and kindness that comes out of people, whether that has been big national events of the last 60 years that I've been on this planet, or even just in my own life of when there is crisis or tragedy in people's lives, me and people step up. And I think we're seeing some of the best of people stepping up in the face of some of the worst of people. And maybe that's just how progress happens and change happens and how we move through chapters of history. I come on here today a little bit at a loss for words. I don't have some great wisdom or aha. It's hard to sort of come on here by myself without having to be a conversation, for starters. And my head goes in 100 different directions right now. I have some things happening in my life that I'm super excited about and happy and joyful and amazing things. And I have had phenomenal conversations with people recently about authenticity and this chapter of their lives and how they're wanting to show up and what that growth and arc is, and really trying to figure out, rather than being focused on career or societal measures of success or any of that, like, how do I find joy? And the fact that people are even asking that question at this point in time is inspiring to me. That in spite of it, in the midst of huge collective grief, that some of us can still be having that as a guiding light of where we want to be and how we want to show up in our own lives, but also for one another. I'm going to do it one breath at a time, one phone call at a time, one day at a time. There will be days that I will be a rock star in my work and show up and feel like I am at 110% and serving people and helping people in their goals and what they're needing to accomplish in their lives right now. And other days, I maybe haven't picked myself up off the floor. I was talking to somebody the other day and we were talking about grief and all the different ways that grief kind of surprises you and bites you in the butt, and it just evolves at different phases after whatever the loss was. And I feel like, and I've seen many articulate, fabulous people talking about this in their podcasts and social media and stuff, even just in this last month of unrest. There is a level of collective grief. And what's hard about grief is, on one hand, after somebody dies, for example, the world keeps spinning and people still get up and go to work the next day, and the kids still need to get fed breakfast and taken to school if you have, and you still have to pay the bills and you still have to feed yourself and all those things. And that at the same time, life is never going to be the same as it was before that loved one died. And I do think there is a parallel between that and what we are collectively going through right now. Life is going on for a lot of us. There are a lot of people whose lives are not continuing on as it was before. And even for those people, they probably still have kids to feed. They got to feed themselves. Maybe they got to go to work. Lean into what you would do if a loved one had just died. I think even just having people die and knowing their stories brings us into that experience of grief. It's not the same as when your partner, parent, or sibling or best friend dies, but that collective grief is still grief. Some days we will be able to put our pants on and go out into the world and do the things we have to do and take action. And other days, we're going to be in the fetal position on the sofa, wondering how is the world ever going to be okay again. There are those of us who will carry enough faith and naive hope, perhaps, that things will get better. I do believe they will. Be gentle with yourself in this, would you? Take care of yourself. Do all the things you know to do, but do them. It feels important to also acknowledge that for some of you, you probably aren't still listening. If this doesn't resonate for you, you're probably not still here. But if you are by some chance, you may be going, what the hell is she talking about? Like, we do not have people being killed in the streets of Seattle or wherever you live. You may not feel all the things that I've been talking about. Check in on the people in your lives, would you? Because I'm guessing you probably know people who are feeling this. I hope this has been helpful to give a listen to, if for no other reason than to know if you are feeling some of the things that I've been articulating, that you're not alone. You probably already know that, but if I just want to be one more voice of saying it's okay to be feeling all the things you're feeling, and the conflicting things of all great things that are still happening in the world and in your life isn't all a shitstorm. Kind of crazy to say that, but yeah. And we're gonna get through this together. And the stories we tell ourselves, some of them serve us, some of them hinder us, but paying attention to them so that we can check ourselves about what do we want to foster and nurture in how we want to be and how we show up in the world, what our values are, what matters to us. I think that's going to help us get through all things in life, and especially this point in time. All right, that is all I have got, probably more than I got. Thank you so much for being here. Feel free to like, subscribe, pass this on, leave a comment, and know that you'll get Nicole and I back together next week. Thanks so much for your time. Take care.